BP has been saying that no one is allowed to fly over the spill in the Gulf. Well, the question here, of course, is who the hell is BP? This is a multinational corporation, folks, not a government. Who is BP to make rules or tell people where they can and cannot fly? Remember, folks, this is a company that is responsible for setting in motion what could well be an extinction event. And it has repeatedly lied about the extent of damage and about the gravity of the situation it's created. And now this corporation is saying no one is allowed to go and find out the truth or report the facts. Well, I don't know, folks, but I say screw BP. And unless there is a danger from methane or anything from flying over the area, then I think that anyone who has a light aircraft should immediately fly out over the spill zone and do some reconnaissance. I mean, what choice do we have, folks? We can either listen to what BP says, we can sit back on our laurels and wait for scumbag bankers puppets like Barry Obama to act, or we can take matters into our own hand and act ourselves. I mean, let's be honest about it. What other options do we have? What are we going to do? Wait for our governments to do something right? Well, looking at the track record of these establishments, I'd say we're going to be waiting for an awfully long time for anything like that. And in the face of this oil leak, we really can't afford the luxury of waiting for someone else to act. If we merely sit back and wait for someone else to fix things, we may well all end up extinct. We need to get some serious non-compliance happening too, folks. Boycott anything to do with BP. And whatever it is society is asking you to do the opposite. Get some grassroots action happening. Talk to everybody you can, folks. And any police or military out there that may be listening to this show. Well, now is the time for you people to draw your line in the sand. Either do something to help this situation, do what is right and act to help fix the problem and help save the world and save humanity, or forever take your place now as an enemy of humanity. The final scene is now in play, and the time has come for the police and military to choose whether they will stand with humanity or side with those who are its enemies and condemn their children to a hell on earth. Now, there are going to be a lot of people out there listening to this saying, well, it's all very well to tell me to act, but what can I do? What can I as a little person do to fix an oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico? Well, as a little person, there's not really a lot you can do in a hands-on manner to actually fix the spill. But what you can do is make a stand. What you can do is make a statement. I'd like to see global strikes. I'd like to see everybody down tools and turn to face our governments and demand that this problem is fixed. Demand that action is taken right now by all governments. We need to have the world's best engineers, technicians, geologists, scientists. No expense should be spared. We need to fix this problem. If everybody went on strike, if the entire planet just simply down tools and said enough is enough, we're sick of running on this treadmill of debt and allowing the world to be destroyed around us, and we're not doing anything else. We're not doing another thing. We'll keep essential services going, but we're not doing anything else until this problem is fixed. I'd really like to see something like that happening. I mean, when you really look at what's going on in the Gulf here, folks, see, this is a whole new area. Nobody's ever worked in this area before. We've never had a problem like this on the planet before. And just the fact that these people drilled so deeply in such deep water, I mean, this is pure idiocy. And as I've said a number of times recently, it's a pure recipe for disaster. You couldn't write one better. But all that aside, instead of blaming people and looking at all the problems it took to do it, which are numerous, but instead of focusing on this, I mean, we can focus on these things later. We can get to the bottom of it. But right now, we need to fix the problem. And this is a global problem, folks. It's not an American problem. It's not a BP problem. I've said this to you a number of times as well. This is a global problem. This is a wonderful opportunity, folks. This will unite humanity. This is a threat that is just as bad as any alien invasion, just as bad as an asteroid impact or a doomsday comet heading for the planet. This is an absolute disaster that has the potential to destroy all life on this planet. If this does not unite humanity, if this doesn't cause humanity to suddenly drop their weapons and look at each other and see the connection that we have to each other and to stand united to fix this problem, then I don't know what will. I really don't. We can look at this as an absolute tragedy, which it is, or we can look at it as a wonderful opportunity for unity and ingenuity. There's 6.7 billion minds focusing on a problem is far better than leaving the issue up to BP. The human experience has always been one of tragedy and drama. If history is anything to go by, then it would truly seem that this may well be the only method by which human consciousness is able to learn. We seem to learn by our mistakes, although looking at the situation we now see in the world, one might question whether we ever actually learned anything at all. Perhaps this is what it will take to bring the human consciousness together. Perhaps it won't be until the final second of the final hour that enlightenment will occur for the human consciousness. When we look at tragedies such as we see in the Gulf, it's very easy to point the finger and to play the blame game. Sure, we can name the characters involved, BP, Halliburton, Transocean, Dick Cheney, all of the above factors, but what the problem really was that caused all of this was consciousness. The greed and ego that exists within the human consciousness, the lack of unity that is felt by humanity. That's the problem. Because if we understood the connection we have to each other, if we acted always in empathy, always in compassion, if we did the right thing in all that we did, see the connection with people, because if we simply did this, none of the problems that we now face as a species would ever have been brought into being. And people like to blame others. People like to see these situations and they get angry. They get angry and they point the finger at BP and they shout and they scream. But this is just to make themselves feel better. They feel like they've done something to fix the problem if they scream at somebody else. But that type of action does not fix any type of problem. Stop the blame game. We can work out those companies responsible, those people at the heads of those companies that are responsible. We can work all this out later. But right now we need to fix this. See, anger at an entity, anger at someone else, prevents people from ever really acting. They feel like they have acted because they've yelled at somebody. And this sort of attitude has occurred right throughout history. And just look at history, folks. This attitude's never got us anywhere. Look at what goes on in the world. Everybody blames everybody else. Everyone hates the Jews or hates the Palestinians or hates the Arabs or hates the Christians or hates the British royal family, hates the Rothschilds. But it doesn't do anything. I don't hate any of these people. I am fascinated that these people are caught in the energy that they're in. But what I see the problem being is not these people. What the problem is consciousness. The problem is that not only that they have the power that they have, that they've usurped the power from others, but also that we have freely given that power away to these people. We can easily come back into our own power. We can reclaim the power that we've given away without hurting anybody. We can claim it back simply by realizing who and what we are, and by not complying with this system, by turning our back on this system. And the best way to do that is to turn to the people next to you, to connect to the people next to you, start doing the right thing in all that you do. And let's look at this problem of oil in the Gulf, folks. Obviously, BP's having a hard time. The people who are in charge there are out of their depth. They've created a problem that they honestly do not know how to deal with. We need to get all the best scientists in the world, everybody. We need to all stop. This is a serious issue, folks. We all need to stop and focus on this problem. We need to realize the threat that we are now under. All of us, each and every person on the planet, is now facing the same threat. And if this doesn't cause you to see how frail life actually is and how much we are all connected to each other, well, I really don't know what will. Everybody needs to stop work. We need a global strike. Everybody needs to stop work. Show to our governments that we care. Show each other that we care. Show the earth that we care. If we were to all focus our attention on this problem, it would make a huge difference.